On Saturday, one of Oklahoma's very best rock bands will finally be inducted into the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame. The Call burst onto the scene in the early 80s, propelled by a new TV channel called M.T.V. They had a #1 song, were admired by some of the biggest names in the business, but never quite broke through to enjoy the stardom they deserve. Now, thanks to a new book that chronicles their career, there is renewed interest in their work and plans to play together again. Scott Music, yep, that's his real last name, is getting reacquainted with the drum parts on some of the Call's greatest songs. Following his induction into the Hall, he'll reunite with some of the original band members to play a much-anticipated set at Maggie's Music Box on Main Street in Jenks.
Oh yeah, it means a lot to me. I'm an Okie from way back, and I think the recognition of the Call's work and my playing or anything about it is wonderful.
Scott grew up in Tulsa and played in the stage band at Edison High School. 100 miles to the west in Oklahoma City, singer and bassist Michael Bean was developing what would become one of the most powerful and poignant voices in rock history.
He was a really good, solid bass player and wonderful singer. Just, a very powerful voice, and not only just on pitch all the time, but the emotions came through truly, and just really, a very honest kind of singing style that, you recognized immediately that this guy, he means it.
Sadly, Bean will not be part of Saturday's induction ceremony. In 2010, he suffered a massive heart attack and died while attending a music festival in Belgium. He was just 60 years old.
He was just a very passionate person, and one of the things he said is the Call's music, is what it is because it's what I, had in me. He's like, I could have written cheesy pop songs. He's like, I could have done that all day long, but this is what I had in me, and I had to get it out.
Noel Hahn wrote, recalling the Call, the 80s most underrated rock band, to bring attention to a group he says never received the recognition it deserved.
The Call had a lot of hit videos and hit songs on there, and to me, it still astounds me that they just didn't quite get to that next level. They were referred to as America's U2 at one point. And Peter Gabriel said they were, the next big thing. They were the band to watch for in the 80s. Touring in the early days with like Simple Minds and Peter Gabriel, they felt like that the Call should have been the big act and that they should have been opening for the Call.
The group produced 8 studio albums that were consistently excellent and well received by the critics. So why didn't they break through to enjoy international stardom?
Actually, we were with probably 3 or 4 major, record labels. This is going to be big. So we would sign and start recording, and then there'd be a big switch up at the top, and the president would be gone. They get a new guy, and he would, not understand it at all. What are we doing with these guys?
That happened with the hit song that propelled the band into heavy rotation on M.T.V.
Our guy came to the studio to see what we were doing in Malibu, and he heard the walls came down and said, "That is terrible. That's like the worst song I've ever heard." And you can't have that on the record.
Thankfully, M.T.V. executives didn't agree, and the Call was off and running. In 1989, the epic Let the Day Begin went #1 on the Billboard charts. But another major miscalculation by the record company held them back.
It was during the transition from vinyl to CDs, and so the label didn't produce enough on vinyl or CDs, and so when it hit #1, there was nothing out there to support it.
Music should have had an inkling of what he jokingly refers to as the Call curse when the band first formed, and their record company grew impatient, waiting for the guys to settle on a name.
They started suggesting names to us that were terrible. One of them was Mikey and the Monkeys. So we were like, okay, we got to have a name really quick before something like this happens.
They finally settled on The Call, as in The Calling, to play music that was inspiring, thought-provoking, and subtly based on their Christian faith.
It was the reason I always stayed with the band, because of that purpose. I just felt that was the reason to play music.
They were definitely spiritual, had a lot of Christian influences, but they never considered themselves to be a Christian band. They didn't want to beat you over the head with their beliefs. They just wanted to let you know that this is how they felt.
That spirit will be heard and felt once again on Maggie's outdoor stage beginning at 6 p.m. on Saturday.
When Scott and Noel approached us about having this event here, it was a no-brainer. It's going to be an awesome event.
Kevin Smith owns and operates Maggie's Music Box with his wife, Amy.
My wife, Amy, and we're huge Call fans. And of course, in our minds, you know, these guys are huge. And I think it is overdue.
Okay, any requests?
All right, how about like your number one, the song that went number one?
That would be Let the Day Begin, yeah, from 1989. And that was a shuffle, but it was, instead of the regular shuffle, it was a triplet shuffle.
A lot of people in Oklahoma didn't even realize that, you know, they were Okies and that, you know, they were from here. And I wanted to bring attention to that, and I think they're just as deserving as, you know, a lot of the other musicians that are in there. So, you know, I'm glad it's finally happening.
For more information on the Call's Hall of Fame induction and Noel's book, check out our website, oeta.tv/Oklahoma News Report.